Hey everyone, Nigel and Luke here, and welcome to another edition of Crimes of the Week International. Before we get to today's video, we're excited to announce that our official Patreon page is now live. Patrons will receive exclusive extended editions of each one of our Crimes of the Week and Crimes of the Week International videos. So if you want even more crime news coverage, head over to patreon.com/crimezone. North Wales police say that they are currently on the hunt for the perpetrators behind a senseless wildlife crime that took place at the Lynbrennig Reservoir last week. The incident unfolded at approximately 9:45 p.m. on April 30th, when vandals cut down a nesting platform that was being used by a mating pair of ospreys. The seriously endangered birds were targeted just one day after the female had laid her first egg of the season. According to reports, it is believed that there are only 250 breeding pairs of the birds in the entirety of the UK. The species was reintroduced to this area of Wales as part of an initiative called the Lynbrennig Osprey Project, funded by the North Wales Wildlife Trust. The project began in 2013, and in 2018, the first ospreys in 100 years nested at the reservoir. Officials now say that they are working to convince the mating pair of birds targeted in the attack that it is still safe to nest in the area, and have cleared another platform for them. However, they are unsure if this will work. Their egg was sadly destroyed when the first platform was chopped down. Authorities say that the perpetrators used a chainsaw to cut down the platform and likely arrived in the area by boat. No official motive behind the crime has been established, but according to some reports, ospreys have traditionally been targeted by people who see them as a threat to the local fish supply, as this is the predatory bird's main source of food. If those responsible are tracked down, they reportedly face a fine of £5,000 or up to 6 months in jail. This week, Norwegian media reported on a bizarre confrontation between a doctor and police officers that ultimately ended with the physician paying 2 separate fines. According to reports, the incident unfolded sometime near the end of January, when the doctor, a man in his 30s, was caught speeding in the Oslo neighborhood of Alnabru. At first, it seemed like just an ordinary traffic stop. The man was driving nearly 30 kilometers over the speed limit and was given a ticket. However, instead of going on his way and possibly fighting the traffic ticket in court on a different day, the man decided to follow the police officers so that he could give them a piece of his mind. The man tailed the police officers for approximately 15 kilometers before they realized they were being followed and pulled over. The man then proceeded to argue with them, accusing them of discrimination and saying, among other things, that they were idiots that had at least 10 years less education than him. When the man appeared in court, he was not only stuck paying the 6,400 krona ticket that he had originally been issued, he was given another 9,600 krona fine for insulting public officials and also had to pay another 2,000 in legal fees. All in, the combined sums translate to nearly $2,200 US. Authorities in the state of Santa Catarina say that 5 people are dead this week following a terrifying machete attack at a daycare center. Military police were alerted to the incident in the town of Saudages at approximately 10:30 a.m. on Tuesday, after an 18-year-old man managed to gain access to the facility. Dozens of children were inside at the time. The man reportedly followed a teacher into the building, where he attacked her and an educational assistant before turning his attention to the children. Both employees, as well as 3 children, were killed in the attack. It was said that several others would need to be hospitalized. When police arrived on the scene, they found that the suspect had tried to take his own life, but they managed to overpower him and take him into custody before he was successful. Police also had to keep the man away from members of the local community, who reportedly wanted to take justice into their own hands. This is apparently not the first time a school has been the target of an attack in Brazil. However, in past cases, the victims have usually been older students. A brother and sister have been found guilty of manslaughter this week, 2 years after an incident aboard a train in which they force-fed an intoxicated sleeping man, causing him to choke to death. According to reports, 34-year-old David Noble and 24-year-old Nicole Cavan were on a Northern Service train home after spending the day in Blackpool in March of 2019, when 56-year-old David Clark boarded the same train. Clark was heavily intoxicated after going to see a soccer game that day, and decided to sit with Noble and Cavan because the three knew each other. He then proceeded to fall asleep. While he was sleeping, Noble and Cavan reportedly force-fed him large chunks of chicken kebab meat, presumably because they thought it would be funny. However, at some point, Clark began to choke. After vomiting, he woke up and attempted to stand, but quickly collapsed. Paramedics and police were called to the scene at a station in the town of Silverdale, and a golf ball-sized piece of meat was apparently removed from Clark's airway. He was taken to hospital, but died the next day. Noble and Cavan were convicted at Preston's Nightingale Court last Friday, following a 2-week trial. Their sentences will be decided at a later date. Authorities in Taipei say that they are currently looking for multiple suspects behind a bizarre and unsettling cockroach attack that took place at one of the city's restaurants this week. According to reports, the incident occurred at approximately 7:20 p.m. on Monday at the restaurant G House Taipei, when 2 men dressed in black entered the establishment and tossed more than 1,000 small cockroaches into the air near a counter on the second floor. Though the attack took place while the restaurant was hosting a police gathering that was attended by over 700 people, investigators do not believe that they were the target. Rather, they say that the strange crime was the result of a debt dispute between the restaurant owner and an organized crime ring. The owner reportedly owes money to the organized crime group known as the Bamboo Union, and police suspect that it was members of this gang that carried out the attack. They believe that 5 people in total were involved in releasing the insects, 4 men and 1 woman. 2 of the suspects swiftly released the cockroaches as the others kept watch. Then all of them left the scene of the crime in separate directions and in different vehicles to avoid surveillance. Despite so far failing to track down the suspects, authorities say that they are undeterred. At a press conference on Tuesday, Taipei Police Commissioner Chen Jiacheng vowed to find those responsible and bring them to justice. This week, it was reported that a violent shoplifter in the Japanese city of Yokohama was recently met with more resistance than he bargained for when he was subdued by a couple of Japanese teenagers as he fled from the scene of his crime. The incident unfolded on the night of April 24th, when the thief stole a drink from a store in the city's Isogo ward. When he was confronted by the store's 54-year-old security guard, he punched him in the face and began to run. Unfortunately for him, a 17-year-old high school girl and an 18-year-old boy spotted him fleeing and decided to intervene. The girl grabbed the thief by the arm and managed to hold him temporarily until he shook her off. It turned out that she was the least of his worries, though, as the 18-year-old had 9 years of experience in karate. The teen chased down the thief a second time and put him in a headlock before delivering a series of strikes to his knees to stop him until police could arrive. The shoplifter was subsequently arrested. A few days later, both of the teens who aided in the arrest were given letters of commendation from the local police precinct. In an interview, the 18-year-old said that he was happy that he could help and that he was able to put his years of martial arts training to good use. This week, it was reported that a taxi driver in Bangkok had recently been arrested after it was discovered that he had been using a slingshot to fire stones at other vehicles, as well as a number of businesses. According to reports, 48-year-old THAIWAN Achayafum was arrested by the city's Metropolitan Police Bureau at the end of April, after they suspected that he had been using a slingshot to fire projectiles near the Rachada Sadasan intersection tunnel. Not only did THAIWAN confess to the crimes, he said that he had been engaging in the slingshot shootings to relieve stress. THAIWAN apparently worked as a bus driver up until last year, when he was forced to leave his job because he was having trouble making ends meet. He took up a job as a taxi driver instead, but found the job incredibly stressful. As a way to vent that stress, he would shoot stones at the vehicles of other drivers on the road, as well as local shops and businesses. He said he had stolen his stone projectiles from a local gas station. Police say that THAIWAN frequently targeted areas that were full of people, as well as vehicles that he felt were moving too slowly. He reportedly began using the slingshot in mid-March and continued for well over a month, until he was arrested at the end of April. THAIWAN has so far been charged with causing damage to property, theft, and physical assault. He remains in police custody, but will reportedly be sent to undergo a psychological evaluation. A 58-year-old Australian woman is facing serious charges this week after she allegedly ran over her adult daughter with a car and dragged her at least 100 meters down the street. According to reports, the incident unfolded just after 12 a.m. on Sunday, when Dale Palmer drunkenly got behind the wheel of a small Toyota hatchback while a 21st birthday party was happening at the family home. She then hit her 27-year-old daughter Keely Palmer with the vehicle. After being dragged down the street, Keely remained trapped under the vehicle for a further 90 minutes, until she was finally freed by emergency service workers. She sustained serious injuries, including compound fractures to her right arm and leg, and is said to have been conscious for the entire ordeal. A breathalyzer test revealed that Dale Palmer's blood alcohol level was 0.166 at the time of the incident, putting her in the highest range for Australia's prescribed concentration of alcohol charge. At the current time, the exact circumstances leading up to the incident have not been reported. Dale Palmer was charged with aggravated dangerous driving occasioning grievous bodily harm and high-range prescribed concentration of alcohol. The PCA charge is similar to a DUI charge, but is apparently used in cases where Australian authorities have actually measured the blood alcohol content of a suspect at the time of their arrest. Dale Palmer appeared in court this week, where prosecutors asked for a further 6 weeks so that additional charges could possibly be laid. An apprehended violence order has also been issued to keep Palmer away from her daughter. That brings us to the end of this edition of Crimes of the Week International. If you're a fan of the new series, don't forget to tell us in the comments section below. While you're there, make sure to subscribe to Crime Zone for more true crime content like this, making sure to hit the notification bell to stay up to date with our latest videos. Thank you for watching.